Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another video of Be the Best DFS Daily Fantasy Sports Talk. Today is Wednesday, October 19th, 2016, and this is going to be my first NBA video, the NBA tip-off video. They just put the slates up on Fanduel and Draftkings on yesterday, so I'm really excited about it. Put some lineups together, and today I'm going to have one of my friends joining me. His name is Martin Brooks, and he's really big into the DFS. Excuse me about my technology and everything, but I got him on a conference call on my cell phone. 'Cause I'm not sure how to work everything out with the laptop. So, what's up, Martin? You there?
What's up, Brad? How you doing?
Oh, everything good. You can introduce yourself. Let them know about you.
All right. I'm Martin Brooks. I'm actually the founder of DFS Express. If you go to Twitter, you can find me at DFSXPRESS. I'm actually like a DFS content guy. I actually provide lines as well. But most importantly, what I like to do, I like to give information in two major sports, NFL and NBA. Both of those sports I'm pretty fluent in. I came up in the roots of DFS as being a GPP guy. Now I kind of navigated to try to be more of an optimal player where I play cash and GPP. With NBA starting, I know it's going to be a lot of new things as far as the new rules and a new layout on FanDuel and DraftKings. So hopefully this video can kind of enlighten you guys and kind of show you guys the new ins and outs of what the NBA going to look like on FanDuel and DraftKings.
Okay, appreciate it. So, opening night is Tuesday, October 25th. It's a 3-game slate. Pretty interesting matchups. So we're going to just take this thing. We're going to go game by game and talk about some of our favorite plays for GPPs. And we might mix in a little cash game plays as well. So the first game is the New York Knicks at the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's start off on the Cleveland Cavaliers side of things. Tell me what you think about that game and who are some of your favorite plays from the Cleveland Cavaliers.
All right, today is today, if you look, the first thing I actually look for when I'm doing my research on NBA, because I like to look at the Vegas line. So today we're so far away that we don't have a Vegas total. So what I did, I just kind of made a dummy line in my head. It's not nothing that's set. I put Cleveland as -8. When I'm looking at the Cleveland side of things, there's two matchups that I'm really interested in, and that's LeBron James, who is 9,600 on FanDuel. He's matched up with Carmelo Anthony. I think those are two good friends. Usually when they match up head to head, LeBron James usually be like fireworks. He's right now he's averaging 6.5 points per minute against a guy that's not known for playing defense. This is a game where LeBron did not put a lot of minutes in the preseason. I think LeBron will come in the season fresh. The game will be close enough to see him a little bit in the fourth quarter. So I do like LeBron James at 9,600 on FanDuel. And if you pivot over to DraftKings, LeBron is $600 less. He's 9,000 on DraftKings. So he's pretty much like an auto play on pretty much both sites, FanDuel and DraftKings. So that's one of the guys I like in that game, LeBron James. And if you go down, I also like Kevin Love matched up with Kristaps Porzingis.
On both sites?
I like him on both sites, actually. Kevin Love is actually priced pretty cheap on both sites compared to what his role would be in his offense. Kevin Love is 7,000 on DraftKings and 6,800 on FanDuel. So it's kind of weird because he's matched up against a 7-footer who actually struggles when he's away from the basket. And we all know that Kevin Love likes the perimeter game more than him playing down low. So if Kevin Love to get this game where he can actually play around a three-point line, I really love Kevin Love more on FanDuel where he's a little cheaper than DraftKings, but it's only a 3-game slate, so everything is going to be kind of highly owned. So if I'm looking at Cleveland, those are two guys that I'm actually thinking about. I didn't say Kyrie Irving. He's to me, he's almost in the same realm that I would rank Anthony Davis. He stayed hurt. He's coming off an injury in the preseason last night. If anything, they probably play him kind of cautiously. So those are two guys, LeBron, Kevin Love, high-minute guys, high usage. And I think that can't go wrong with playing those two guys on the Cleveland side.
Yeah, thanks. Those are great points. So I'm going to give you my take about the Cleveland side of things for opening night. Now, you may disagree with me, but for GPPs, I feel that LeBron James is a player that I'm going to fade. And the reason is not because he's not a good player. I think LeBron is great. He's a triple-double threat every night. And he's a big-time player. I think he's like a 4-time or 5-time MVP. But at the small forward position, I just feel that there are other options at a lower price who can hit value and you can save money, mainly being Carmelo and Kawhi Leonard at lower prices who can also reach value. Now, again, I do think LeBron will have a good game, but for the purposes of this slate, and I'm projecting him to have a high ownership, I think he's someone that I may take a chance on fading. And let's see, Kevin Love. I like Kevin Love, but the thing with him, last season he's kind of inconsistent in my opinion. He plays outside a lot, and I don't know how effective of a rebounder. I don't know how effective he will be on the glass with Joakim Noah down there, and also Tristan Thompson. If he plays, he's going to take up a lot of the rebounding, and I think a good value play if you're looking for value on Cleveland is J.R. Smith. He's priced low on both sites. I believe, let me check real quick. Sorry. He's 4,500 on Fanduel and 41 on DK. So I think he's a good value play. And the last player I want to talk about is on Cleveland side is Kyrie Irving. I heard what you said about him, but I actually like Kyrie Irving on Fanduel at 7,100. I have no interest in him on DraftKings at 8,000. But the reason I like Kyrie is mainly because of his price. At 7,100, to hit value would be like around 35 fantasy points. And I agree he hasn't done nothing in the preseason. He's barely played. He's only played he played 10 minutes last night and left with a leg injury. But I think he's just taking it easy on the preseason. And based off what he showed in Game 7 of the finals and also in the Olympics, I forgot who they were playing. It might have been Australia. He's shown that he steps up in the big stage in big-time moments. So with a lot of the ownership probably going to Steph Curry and Damian Lillard, I like Kyrie Irving as a sneaky GPP play, as a good pivot play. I could be wrong because they might play him cautiously, but that's kind of how I'm feeling right now, 6 days before opening night. So how you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, again, what I'm looking at, I actually use Fantasy Labs for my projections. I got a model on Fantasy Labs. Fantasy Labs actually have him projected at an implied total of 36.7 fantasy points. Mm-hmm. That's a high number. It may be probably top 3 or 4 on the slate as far as point guards are concerned.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, because I'm thinking that the way that they use Kyrie Irving this early in the season, coming off a preseason injury, I'm not sure if they give him a full 30 to 35 minutes, which you might see him playing in the middle of the year. But, that's just one of the plays that I'm just kind of cautious with going into opening night. I know that Steph Curry will probably be chalky and Damian Lillard could be chalky as well. Mm-hmm. But, on a night where one player can determine if you cash or not on a 3-game slate, I'm willing to fade him and fade LeBron. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely feel you. What about, you see any good value plays for Cleveland?
In this game, I don't see no. It's 2 players for me, and that's it.
What's your thoughts on J.R. Smith?
He played his first game last night after the long holdout. I do like Courtney Lee as a defender. Actually, on DraftKings, I had a mock lineup I was going to give out. On DraftKings, on both sites, actually, I played Courtney Lee. Okay. Courtney Lee should see around probably close to 40 minutes on opening night. He's 3,700 on Fanduel, and he's actually Courtney Lee is 3,700 on Fanduel. No, 3,900 on Fanduel, and I think 3,700 on DraftKings.
Yeah.
He's pretty much a guy that actually can give you 12 real life points, probably 5 or 6 rebounds, probably 3 or 4 assists, but he have 3 or 4 steal upside. So I kind of like Courtney Lee because his defensive abilities. He give you a good way to punt without actually punting the strongest position. Small forward and point guard by far the best position, so I want to play up on both of those 2 spots on opening night. And I would take a punt with Courtney Lee just for the reasons that I like the matchup. J.R. Smith is not a lockdown defender. New York lost a lot of those bench guys that came in and kind of stole some of that shooting guard role.
Yeah.
Jerry Grant, Aaron Aflalo, all those guys are gone. So I like Courtney Lee. If I was pivoting at any position, I like Courtney Lee as one of those guys in this Cleveland and New York game.
Yeah, that's definitely great points right there. And I heard you say that you feel that small forward and point guard are the top positions for the slate. And I agree with that. You're probably going to laugh at me about this play, but for Cleveland, in one of my lineups on FanDuel, I have Shannon Fry as a punt play at the power forward position. Thoughts on that?
Well, I'm just gonna go down this list real fast.
Yeah.
As far as punts, and this is just what we could try to get through the pod a little quick. There's one game where I'm pretty much gonna take all my punts. As far as power forward matchups, you have Kevin Love versus Porzingis. You have Draymond Green versus LaMarcus Aldridge. You have Al-Farouq Aminu versus Favors. Al-Farouq Aminu, based on some of the pricing of some of these other power forwards, you have a guy that's $5,000 on FanDuel. He's $4,400 on DraftKings. He's probably locked in to play anywhere between 30 to 35 minutes in this game. He's been a point per minute type of guy. So Al-Farouq Aminu is one of those guys that can run out for 30 minutes and give you anywhere between 28 to 35 fantasy points. If you wanted to actually pay up on FanDuel and you want to take LeBron James and Kevin Durant in the same lineups, I wouldn't argue the fact of probably rolling out Al-Farouq Aminu as a punt play at power forward. Power forward is not really a deep position. With the Kevin Durant going to Golden State, it kind of takes away some of the appeal of playing Draymond Green.
Okay.
Draymond Green could be a fine punt, but at the end of the day, it's not a lot of value going into the first game. Trey Lyles would be another good punt.
Yeah, I like him.
The 3 punts I'm liking is actually in that last game, the Portland versus Utah Jazz game.
Okay.
I like Evan Turner as a punt power forward. There's like a DraftKings play. I like Dante Exum as a punt at point guard. I like Trey Lyles as a punt at power forward.
Okay.
So out of the 3 games, if I had to punt a position, those three players would come out of the late game. Those guys will give you low ownership, and they will all be late night hammers. I want to kind of touch on late night hammers. And being successful in DFS NBA, for instance, what I found over the last 2 years, rostering guys that play in the late games tend to have lower ownerships than the guys that start off at 6 p.m. in the early lock.
Yeah.
All right. So if you can find a value guy that's actually have a legitimate role, playing in a late night game, those are the guys that actually help win tournaments. Those guys help win tournaments. This year, starting on October the 18th, DraftKings rolled out the new rule that during the NBA season, there would be no more late night swapping, all right?
Yeah.
So playing the late guys on DraftKings now would probably be more appealing as long as you know the status of those players as playing the early guys. I tend to believe that the West Coast games actually be a little bit more up and down, more fast paced. Those are actually the Western Conference teams. I like, me personally, I like rostering Warriors. I like rostering the Portland Trail Blazers.
Yeah.
I like rostering the Utah Jazz to an extent. So just take that into consideration when building lineups. Don't always play conservative by playing the 6 p.m. games. Get you some guys in the late game. So if you got a very good line going into the last game of the night, you see yourself sneaking up the leaderboard because you have a low-owned guy in a great position that can kind of tilt your lineup.
Yeah, definitely. Great points, man. Let's move on to the next team in this first game. We spent a little time on Cleveland because, they got, important players. So now I want to talk about the other side of things, the New York Knicks. Who you like on the Knicks as far as DFS plays for opening night?
The best play that I like on the Knicks, man, and this might be one of my top guys for the season, is Kristaps Porzingis.
Okay.
Kristaps Porzingis is 7,400 on DraftKings. On Fanduel, and hold on, what am I looking at? I'm sorry about that. I'm lying. He's actually 6,900 on Fanduel and 7,400 on DraftKings. Porzingis is going to actually have a role on this team. I'm thinking they're actually going to try to run him out more, give him more minutes at the center position. Joakim Noah been hurt the last two seasons, so I think they're going to use Porzingis in more ways than one. More center, a lot of power forward, but even not just in game one of the opening night. Porzingis, I saw in the preseason where he put up a lot of 3-point shots. So yeah. I'm guessing he actually went through the offseason working on his outside shooting. I actually saw him blocking a lot of shots. It's just the fact that I know that he's going to have a lot of minutes. And why he's cheap early in the season is where I want to kind of roster Porzingis. Most of the offensive workload would be on Carmelo Anthony's shoulders. But because Kristaps Porzingis is a three-dimensional player now where he shot block, rebound, and can score, I like Porzingis a lot. Robin Lopez is gone. Derek Williams is gone. Kevin Seraphin is gone. So all those guys that was actually stealing minutes from him, they have a offensive-minded coach. So Porzingis early on, where the price is kind of low, he's a very interesting target in GPPs, cash in the opening night, and he would be an even better play once the slates get a little bit bigger.
Yeah, that's great. I definitely think Porzingis is a great player, and he's probably a good GPP play because he will go overlooked because he's spending money, in other places. But for the Knicks, I know it may be kind of chalky, but I love Carmelo Anthony, mainly because of his price at $8,000, which puts him at a value to hit like 40 fantasy points to hit value on FanDuel. And Carmelo, he's an aggressive player. And it's the beginning of the season. We know that Carmelo struggles with injuries a lot, but being that this is opening night, you don't have to worry about him with any nagging injuries or anything. And just, again, like I said, him being aggressive. I know he's going to get the shot attempts up. You mentioned earlier him and LeBron are friends, so he definitely shows up to play when the matchup is against LeBron. So I like Carmelo at his price. I definitely can see your points with Porzingis, but I'm not sure if I'm going to have too much exposure to him, because the game is in Cleveland, so I'm not sure if he's ready for that big-time stage. And then Tristan Thompson could possibly be the one defending him, and Tristan Thompson, being a great defender that he is, could slow down his production on opening night, but you made good points with Porzingis. I really like Carmelo Anthony. Tell me what's your thoughts on Derrick Rose if he plays. I know he got a lot of off-the-court issues going on. What's your thoughts on Derrick Rose?
Derrick Rose would actually start that game. he would actually be the opening night starter for the Knicks. He's going through a legal issue, which I don't think is going to roll over into the season. Hopefully this court stuff ends before the season starts. The only thing about Derrick Rose is coming off of all these nagging injuries that he has. He's kind of risking to me. Opening night, probably any night. I won't have a lot of Rose. But if you want to be contrarian and maybe make a GPP case, Derrick Rose could be a pivot away from like Kyrie Irving or someone like that. Fantasy Labs have been projected at 26 fantasy points. That's a difference of somewhere around 8 fantasy points from Kyrie Irving, and it's a difference between $1,100 between those two salaries. Derrick Rose could be one of those guys that can be double-digit rebound, double-digit assists.
Yeah.
In his offense with the way that Porzingis is actually playing. You actually see you saw in Chicago where Joakim Noah did a lot of stuff at the top of the key. So Derrick Rose could actually be a sneaky play if you wanted to have a GPP option. But other than him, I'm actually playing 2 guys on
the Knicks
on New York, and that's Porzingis and Courtney Lee.
Okay.
I don't, so I mean, you can make a case for Derrick Rose. Price when on sites where price matters. He's cheap. It's only a 3-game slate. He could be a pivot away from any one of the 3 big name point guards on the slate. So when we look at the projection, they don't really see Kyrie Irving blowing him out the water as far as outperforming him. So, he could be a good play.
Okay. You think there's anything else we need to talk about from this game from either teams?
Yeah, let's talk about Courtney Lee, for example, for 1 minute. Let's give 1 minute on Courtney Lee.
All right, go ahead.
Courtney Lee is a guy that actually kind of reminds me of a small version of Draymond Green.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about as far as athletic abilities, but we're talking about intangibles that actually fill up the stat sheet outside of points. He gives you rebounds, he gives you assists, he gives you steals, he can sneak up and give you a block. If you can get 5, 5, and 5 from Courtney Lee with 5 points, he will always be minimum price because he's not always the guy. He's not always the number 1 option, but it's always, when we looked at Courtney Lee last year, I think he was with Memphis, I want to say.
Yeah.
Courtney Lee played for last year. Was it Memphis?
Yeah, I believe Memphis. Yeah, Memphis.
So they usually try to give him his shots early in the game. So if this is a case where Courtney Lee can come out and give you 5 points in the first quarter, that's really good for Courtney Lee because he's going to be a guy who's going to give you 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 or 2 steals a game, plus that one block shot. He's going to always have a lower ownership, but this is a guy that on any given night, he could turn 6 points into 25, 20. He's turned 6 shots into somewhere around 25 real-life points. You got to be the night for him. I'm not saying that opening night would be that night, but I like guys that get minutes in bunches. And this guy will play a lot of minutes and will have a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Great value play because he definitely is low price on both sites. I think we said enough on this first game. Which game you want to move on to next? The Golden State San Antonio or the Utah and Portland one?
Yeah, let's go to Golden State San Antonio.
Okay, yeah, this is probably the big game of the night. Kevin Durant, with his new team making his regular season debut. Let's talk about the Golden State side of things. What's your take? You're playing. Are you going to play the players or not? Because, they are playing against San Antonio, who's historically been known to be a good team with team defense. So what's your thought on Golden State players for opening night?
This is my thought on Golden State players. Don't be afraid to roster him. Don't be afraid to pay for Kevin Durant. Don't be afraid to pay for Curry. Don't be afraid to pay for Klay Thompson. The odd man out on here will probably be Draymond Green, and that's only because I think that Kevin Durant steals some of the production that Draymond Green brought to the table last year. I think Draymond Green would have his hands full with LaMarcus Aldridge. Kawhi Leonard would have his hands full with Kevin Durant. Even with this being said, with the team defense and all those things that San Antonio brings to the table, I do not see Kawhi Leonard limiting Kevin Durant in any shape, form, or fashion. I really don't believe that Tony Parker would contain Stephen Curry. I see Stephen Curry actually going out opening night and going berserks in opening night. I do have some question marks about Klay Thompson because Danny Green is a premier defender as well. But if you told me, hey, I need two guys from this game, price don't matter. I would play Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. No doubt about it. Wouldn't think twice.
I pretty much agree with you. I made a couple lineups on Fanduel, and one of my lineups do have Klay Thompson and Steph Curry in there. But my question about Golden State, with Kevin Durant being there, and Golden State is an offensively efficient team. If you had to pick one player to have the most fantasy points, who would it be? Because, it's kind of hard to predict, because they play such a team game. It's not like one player dominates the ball. So if you had to pick one player to get the most fantasy points, who would it be for Golden State?
Actually, if I thought that it was going to be one guy that dominate the fantasy points, it would be Kevin Durant. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I'm calling Kevin Durant is because, first off, I feel that Golden State would want to go out and roll. I think they would want to roll out Durant and show why he actually chose Golden State over San Antonio. San Antonio was one of the guys that flirted with Durant in the offseason. But let's not focus on that point. Let's focus on the DFS side. Kawhi Leonard would play a lot of minutes this game. Andre Iguodala would probably spill Durant a bit, but when they go small ball, when Zaza Pachulia is off the court, Kevin Durant would probably be playing a 4. So Kevin Durant, again, would play major minutes. He did match up very well with Kawhi Leonard. I think he had a couple of 50-point games last year. He had a stretch ending the year where he had 6 50-point games ending the season, all against Golden State. He had a 55-4 versus Golden State, a 55-4 versus Golden State, a 56-2 versus Golden State, and a 56-2 versus Golden State. So he averaged 50 points a game in that series against Golden State last year. San Antonio, again, like you said, they're not no slouches, but with the minutes that he get on the game, he could turn that into 50 points easily.
Great points. Again, it's kind of the same feelings I have about LeBron. I think Kevin Durant could have a really good game, but from a DFS perspective, especially with Kawhi Leonard defending him, I think I might roll out with Kawhi Leonard instead at a discounted price and try to.
Let's look at something real fast.
Yeah.
All right. My model is showing the last 2 times they played San Antonio, which was in the playoffs. All right. On May the 12th, they played San Antonio. Kevin Durant was $10,100. He put up 48.80 points on Kawhi Leonard. He went 12 for 24. He went 12 for 24 in that game. The game before that, he put up 38.7 on Kawhi Leonard at the same price. So Kawhi Leonard, he's not actually shutting Durant down. The first game where he put up the 38, he went 8 for 21. In the second game, he went 12 for 24. So if this is the case, if Durant could put up 25 shots, at least 25 shots, I like Durant actually hitting that 50-point value, that 50-point mark against Kawhi. So, because I think that San Antonio would need Kawhi to act a bigger role on offense for this team to actually do anything, because I don't see Tony Parker playing a lot of minutes. It's a remade version of San Antonio with Paul Gasol at the center now. But, I think Kawhi Leonard, if he has to play a bigger role on offense, I think he'll take away some of the energy that he would have to exert to hold Durant on defense. So I do like Durant. I do like Kawhi. I do like Kawhi. But I just think that if it's hard to pivot off of Durant, because it's a lot of different things. You have to bring a lot to the table in other positions to make up if Kevin Durant do go for 50.
Yeah, I can understand that. So I guess it's all about how you're trying to manage the salary within your lineup. So I definitely understand that. We done got close to 30 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the other side of this game. San Antonio, I was really looking hard at Tony Parker, not because of, he's that good, because he's getting older now, but mainly because of his price. And I already told you, I like Kawhi Leonard. I got him on both sites, FanDuel and DraftKings. But those are the two players that I'm looking at, for the San Antonio Spurs. Give me your thoughts on the Spurs, their players, Tony Parker, Kawhi Leonard, and anyone else you want to speak about.
All right, let's first talk about Tony Parker. I'm not happy. I'm not rolling out. I don't think this year I can roll Tony Parker. I probably never. In the playoffs last year, Tony Parker in the playoffs. We're talking about in an elimination game. Tony Parker played 22 minutes. The game before that against OKC played 32, 32, 34, 26, 26, 21, 24, 22. It was rare that Tony Parker, even in the playoffs, played more than 30 minutes. Even though he's pretty cheap, it's hard for him. When we look at some of those minutes that he played, and we kind of look to the left, and we look at the production, in 27 minutes, he gave you 11 points. In 32 minutes, he gave you 24 points, which was pretty good. 32 minutes, he gave you 26 points. But you go down, you see a lot of 14s, 13s, 14s, 13s, 17s. That's not going to win you a GPP. And again, yeah. I think that when we fade the shooting guard and try to take a punt, you got to have the right play. When we fade small forward and take a punt, you got to have the right play, because there's too many monsters up there that can easily give you 50 that, if your punt play can't stay with the crowd, then it's kind of hard to sustain in cash, let alone win a GPP.
Yeah.
But the guy that I really like is Paul Gasol. That's the guy that I really like for San Antonio. Last year, the Golden State Warriors was one of the worst defensive teams versus the center position. Also, last year, the Dallas Mavericks was a bottom 5 team versus the center position, all right? So Golden State do not have Andrew Bogut anymore. They have Zaza Pachulia. Zaza Pachulia was so bad last year to where he was almost voted as an all-star, voted to the all-star team, to getting benched a week after the all-star break.
Yeah, I remember that.
Paul Gasol was probably one of the most consistent big men in the NBA last year. Even at his age, I like the fact that he's going to be going to a team that actually slows the ball down, but liking the ball in the post. I like the fact that he's a double-digit rebounder. I like the fact that he's a guy that's not afraid to put his shot up. With LaMarcus Aldridge down on the block with him, it's no way that they can double team him. I think that this guy right here can be very good tomorrow. I mean, on the opening night. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Paul Gasol, it seems like he's continued to be productive, even though he's getting up there in age. With the pace of the game, there should be a lot of the over/under total points should be a lot. So I can definitely see Paul Gasol, but at least on FanDuel, if you get him, it's going to be at kind of a premium price. So you'll definitely have to know how to maneuver the rest of your lineup if you get Paul Gasol. Like you said, you have to be on point with those punt plays and value plays if you decide to use Paul Gasol at center. But yeah, for the sake of time, let's just move on to this third game. Utah versus Portland. Let's start off on the Portland side. I love the backcourt. Really, I got a Portland stack in my FanDuel lineup. I love the backcourt of Damian Lillard and McCollum. We talked about Al-Farouq Amino. I love him at his price tag, low price tag. He's a starter. He get his minutes. And as a sneaky play, I like Mason Plumlee, someone who's very active on the boards. He scores some points, and for a big man, he's pretty good at free throws. He's decent. So give me your thoughts on Portland and some of the players that you like.
All right, I like the Chief. I like the Chief, who's Al-Farouq Amino.
Yeah.
I like him. I'm not really sure what role Derek Favors would actually play. He's in and out of the lineup with different injuries. I do like Al-Farouq Amino at the $5,000 price tag on FanDuel. being that he's another guy that plays a ton of minutes.
Yeah.
When I get to the value guys and the guys that's pretty cheap, when they actually play a lot of minutes, man, it almost make them locks in my lineup because those guys become the glue of your lineups. When you can get a guy that's $5,000 going to play 38 to 40 minutes, they point per minute kind of guys, you can almost lock that lineup in and fall asleep.
Yeah.
When I pivoted off of Alfred Camino, I also like Damian Lillard at 8,900. He's in a premier spot against George Hill. George Hill will probably start this game, and they'll hand the ball off to Dante Exum. Dante Exum is one of those guys that I'm actually liking as a punt. But since we're on Portland, for the sake of it, I do like Lillard. I also like Alfred Camino. Mo Harkless, I liked Mo Harkless last year, but since they brought in this guy, they landed a guy that can kind of evolve Portland into one of the. Portland can be a top 4 finisher with the add of Evan Turner.
Yeah.
And Terry Stotts already said that he want to play Evan Turner as shooting guard, small forward, and point guard. So that kind of adds to Evan Turner's usage. If he can kind of roll in and get the minutes some of those minutes that Allen Henderson got last year, he could be a very good pivot player for this team. I like C.J. McCollum, but again, for the reason that now they have a guy that can kind of poach minutes from him, I'm going to be kind of off of him since he's already the second man behind Lillard.
Yeah.
I might well just take the for sure points with Lillard, take a pivot play with Aminu, and punt with Evan Turner.
What you think about Plumlee?
What I think about who?
Plumlee.
I think Plumlee. I'm gonna be honest with you. Plumlee is a play that I'm gonna say that Plumlee fouls so much. It's so hard to know what you want to get out of him because he'll come out in the first 3 minutes of the game and have 3 fouls, and he'll be on the bench. It's hard for me to look across the court and fade Rudy Gobert, in a game where, they pretty much asking him, hey, we need you to score. We need you out there and get 15 rebounds. We need you to go out there and get 5 block shots. I think that Rudy Gobert can actually come in and play the same role that Hassan Whiteside played last year. Now that we're going to be without Gordon Hayward going into the open up the season. So people have to actually step up and score the basketball. In the preseason, we saw where they was running through Gobert. So when Gobert, he got that funky little hook shot, but Gobert can give you 15 and 15 easily. And, we already know they have that shot blocking upside. I really like Gobert as the top play at center on opening night with Paul Gasol very close behind him.
Okay, I'm probably going to be in the minority with Plumlee, but at least for FanDuel, I like Plumlee as a sneaky play, but, we're a few days away, so, I'll probably make some adjustments, but, I'm feeling, that's Mason Plumlee. Quickly, let's go to the other side. Last team on the slate, the Utah Jazz. For me, as a sleeper play, I like Trey Lyles, especially if Favors, if he sits out. And on DraftKings, I really, really like Joe Johnson with Gordon Hayward being out. Maybe I'm kind of biased, because I'm here in Atlanta and I watched Joe Johnson play for the Hawks all those years. But with Gobert being out, they're going to have to get with Gordon Hayward being out, they're going to have to get offensive production from somewhere. And Joe, he got the skills. So I like him on DraftKings where you can get multiple players at different positions the way they got it this year. But Lyles and Joe Johnson, that's who I like. Let me hear your take on the Utah Jazz.
All right, on Utah Jazz, my favorite play for the Utah Jazz is, again, we just talked about Rudy Gobert, so I'm just going to say Rudy Gobert. I've already talked about him a little bit. The next guy I like is Rodney Hood. Rodney Hood would have to be aggressive with Alec Burks. I think Alec Burks, if he plays in the opening season, he would probably be very limited. Again, Gordon Hayward is out. Rodney Hood is the guy that can actually sit back there and stroke the three. He's a streaky shooter at best. He's a fair defender, if I may say fair. You know, he's on the borderline as being a good defender in the NBA. And another guy that I like Dante Exum because, again, they really want Dante Exum to actually be the starter for Utah. They got George Hill coming in as the starter. I'm expecting Dante Exum to kind of play anywhere around 30 to 35 minutes, whereas he's going to play the 2 guard or if he's going to be playing point guard. Either way it goes, they're going to find minutes to give him on the floor with the injuries. He may get some minutes behind Rodney Hood if they elect to monitor Alec Burks' minutes or workload. So I do like Dante Exum as a sneaky punt play on sites, especially FanDuel. He's Exum. I didn't write the price tag.
I'll look it up for
Exum
you.
is a sneaky play on FanDuel and DraftKings. So those are the 3 players that I would play from Utah.
Exum is 3,500. He's 3,500 on FanDuel. Exum.
Yeah, so he's minimum price on FanDuel. George Hill will have his hands full with Damian Lillard. Maybe get in early foul trouble. They may have to pass the torch to Exum as soon as they probably want. But again, a guy that can play 2 different positions on a team that could get blown out, I like Dante Exum.
Okay, yeah, he could definitely be a good sneaky value play. Again, this is my first time doing an NBA video, and I think you gave us some really good takes, some really good plays, good value plays, good sleeper plays. To close it out, just give me your last thoughts on opening night slate. What's the most important thing that people need to look for?
If you're attacking GBPs, you got to find a position to actually be contrarian with. On a 3-game slate, everyone would be chalky. All the big name guys would be chalky. So it's about having the wherewithal to actually pull a plug on taking a Dante Exum or taking a Courtney Lee or someone like that. So what I did, I came up with one FanDuel line and I came up with one DraftKings line, and I would go through both those lines, just give you the plays. You can write them down and plug them in just to see how a line would do. But throughout the season, this is how I construct lineups. Again, it's only 3 games, so ownership would be high. So it kind of pick constraints on what you really want to do with your lineups. But for FanDuel, I have Damian Lillard at point guard, Dante Exum at point guard, Klay Thompson at shooting guard, Courtney Lee at shooting guard, LeBron James at small forward, Kevin Durant at small forward, Kristaps Porzingis at power forward, Al-Farouq Aminu at power forward, and Rudy Gobert at center.
Okay.
When we go down to the DraftKings line, I have Dante Exum at point guard. I have Evan Turner at shooting guard. I have LeBron James at small forward. I have Porzingis at power forward. I have Gobert at center. I have Courtney Lee as the guard at the bottom. I have Durant as the forward at the bottom. I have Tristan Thompson as the utility. So those are the 2 lineups that I'm giving you guys to kind of monitor, just track the points, see how the lineup was constructed, and maybe it can help you guys out with DFS. So with that, I'm passing it back to Brad.
Oh, appreciate that. Make sure y'all roll the video back and listen to them lineups, man. Martin, he be winning that money in the preseason, so I know he's gonna tear it up in the regular season. But I'm about to put the video to a close. Let them know where they can find you at online and social media, and then I'm gonna hang up and close this out. All right.
All right. You can find me on Twitter at DFS XPRESS. DFS Express. You can find me on Twitter. You will see daily NBA articles. Once NBA kicks off, you will see my top 100 probably in the next 2 days. And I also post NFL, so we're also in NFL. I post articles for NFL. So follow me on Twitter at DFS Express. Thank you.
Yeah, that's S with an X, like the letter X. DFS Express. Like, Dez Bryant throwing up the X. But yo, I'm gonna hang up the phone. I'll hit you back after I close out this video.
All right, cool.
All right. Yeah, that's it. You know, this is the first NBA video. I'm trying something new, bring some of my friends on here so y'all can get like different perspectives. But I'm really excited about opening night, ready to win some money in this NBA. Definitely, if you like the video, please subscribe. As always, thank you for everyone who's following on all social media. Search that hashtag #BeTheBestDFS, and you'll find me on social media. Leave your comments and you know, just let me know how y'all feel about this, what I'm doing with this daily fantasy thing. But thanks again, everyone, for watching this video. And as always, you know what I'm saying, try to be the best. All right.